I am that I am, Saint Germain in service, and I welcome you this evening to this time of the equinox of which you have just passed through. The energy is now building for you in the southern hemisphere. You are coming towards that of the yang energy, that of the male polarity. It is a time of renewal, of rebirth, a time now to step out and take a look at the seeds you have planted in the dark side of the year, in that fertile, deep soil. Some of the seeds you may not be 100% happy with. Some seeds might appear to even be growing as weeds. But that is okay. It is up to each and every one of you as to how you tend your garden. And with the coming eclipse, it is a time now to take a look at what I will refer to as those shadow things that you have hidden. The energies at this point on the planet are now asking many of you to step out of your comfort zones. And it is very human at this point in the evolution of this species to have created comfortable little circles upon which you can keep yourself in. And these circles ripple outwards in all aspects of your life. Your comfort zones surrounding work, your comfort zones surrounding friendship circles and family and those you surround yourself with. Comfort zones in terms of your personality and how you wish others to view you in this world. We are now being forced to look outside of those comfort zones, because it is those that have kept you trapped. It is those that have kept you in this incarnation cycle for as long as many of you have been here. And now it is time to step out of those circles, because it is through stepping out of those circles that you will begin to see the vastness that is actually your being. It is very human to want to categorize yourself. It is very human to want to categorize others and to build up a sense of purpose and meaning through these outward expressions. These expressions that you have built up around yourself that you call you are not you. And now it is time to strip those layers back, to strip them away. And I am not only talking about that in the physical reality, I'm talking about concepts of self, concepts of others, belief systems, patterns, structures. This is why the world at present is in turmoil. The foundations are shaking. And this is a good thing. I have spoken of this before. And now all of your foundations, which were starting to crumble in 2012, are now really becoming the rubble. That is like there has been an earthquake which has gone through all of humanity at this point in time. And many have now stood up from the dust and they are questioning, who am I? And they look at their old lives and they do not identify with that anymore. It feels foreign to them, it feels alien. and those who have not quite reached that stage yet are still clinging. And that is why there are many who have much anxiety, who have anger, who are lashing out. And this is because their sense of self, their personality itself is being called into question. And it is their higher self which is calling this into question, asking them to have a look at the patterns of their life, to have a look at their thought processes, the way that they view the world, and now step out of that. Many are refusing to take this step. However, those who have now are in a state of weightlessness. Some may feel lost. The mind may create anxiety, and this is normal as the mind loses its grip on what it sees as reality, as what it sees as its safe pattern. It will start to worry, and it will start to get ahead. It will start racing forward into the future and trying to find a way to settle it all and bring it all back. The mind has a hard time dealing with the vastness that is your being, that is the I am. But this is what humans are now being pulled out of. They have been sleeping for many years, and now they are being awakened to who they truly are. No more masks, no more costumes. It is all limitless. And this freedom of choice, this freedom of expression can be hard to deal with in the current structure that is society and all the different societies on this planet, because society wants you to act in a certain way in accordance with how they see things as being right. And when one person steps out of that, and it can be as simple as no longer identifying with a particular group. And there are many different groups you humans organize yourselves into. It could be the kind of music groups you listen to, the subcultures in that regard. It can be religious groups. It can be any number of spiritual groups. It can be political groups. But now as your freedom is unfolding, and now as you pull into question all these little bits that you have pulled together as being you, your personality, have been called into question, you are now going, I would like to try this other group. I would like to try this other thing, but it is in complete conflict with each other. And now that is the beauty of the stillness, because it can all harmonize. It can all come together as one. If you are to live in this now moment, you may belong to this group which is in conflict with another, and in the next now moment be with the other group. In the human consciousness, these two cannot exist together. But your soul, which is in the infinite now, which is the I am, sees through this, for it is an all expression of the all, and as such can all simultaneously live in harmony. So it is through breaking these mind patterns, these structures of these I really want to emphasize the humanness of this. And I'm not saying that being human is bad. Being human is a beautiful experience. But humans are very rigid. And that is a product of conditioning of lifetimes. When we first began incarnating as humans, there was a free flow of expression, of creation, of exploration, of being in such a dense reality. But as time went along, souls began to forget their divine nature, and different patterns were formed. These patterns are now breaking, and this is sending the world into disarray, although it is disarray from a human perspective. For when you look down upon it from a divine perspective, all is in its right order. It is all unfolding in a beautiful mosaic of patterns and colors, of energy. Sometimes, in order to see the beauty, the original structure must fall. And this will be a gradual process in some cases and not in others. But I invite you to come back to your stillness always and allow the grand unfolding that is occurring on this planet and in your lives. For if you are to keep coming back to that still place within you, then nothing can harm you, nothing can touch you. You are safe. You are a divine being in the flow of creation, and it is your creation in harmony with the all. And you will find as you go along and you allow this free expression to occur and you allow yourself to explore different avenues and aspects, you will see how you can create a synergy and a harmony between them. And I ask you to step out of what others may think of this. Some may say, you cannot belong to this political party and then go to this group and do this other thing. They don't work together. Or you can't wear those sets of clothes and then go and do this other thing. Throw that out the window now. Allow yourself to see this world as the divine playground it is. See each different aspect and each different manifestation that you come across as a different paint color in your palette. You are the brush, and you can create whatever you like from this, and you can create it from outside the structured formalities that are human expectation. But the first person that you must break this human expectation with is yourself. Because this expectation comes from the mind. And the mind cannot comprehend the vastness of your divine nature. I have spoken of this before. And when you begin to try creating from the mind, what you are creating is more limitation. You are creating that which is still in accordance with the mind-made human patterns on this planet. The mind may tell you that you're trying something completely different and new. But if you are to step behind the mind and come back to your heart center, your feeling center, you'll know this not to be true. And this is okay. This is a point that many of you will fluctuate between, because fear will bring you back to the mind. if you are not present and aware. And so I say, keep bringing yourself back. Keep being mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your actions. Observe them. Do not judge them, but observe them. And you will know a greater peace that sits behind there eventually. And you will see how much limitlessness there is in being in your true nature. The mind will try to step in at this point. It will try to put a leash on it, to control it, to categorize it, to put it in a box. I say, do not let this happen. This is falling back into that fear pattern, that what if pattern. I say there are no what ifs. So come back to that sacred place in your heart. Come back. This is your feelings center, and you live on a sensual planet. Feel into life. Experience it. Feel the breath of air on your skin. Give thanks for the breath. Feel the floor beneath your feet, the clothes on your body. Be thankful for the gift of sight and hearing, for there is none like it in the realms of which I am from. Be grateful for every taste sensation. Fully dive into the senses. Enjoy having a body. It is not about transcending the body. It is about transcending the mind. You can be an embodied, enlightened being. This is what we are moving towards on the planet. A planet of embodied, enlightened beings. Feel into that. There is no shame in the sensual nature of being a human. We are now moving to a heart-centered way of living. I ask you to breathe into this, to now fully and deeply connect in with your heart, taking a deep breath. It is easy to feel fear because fear is what is in the air at present on this planet. Fear feeds fear. Remember that. Do not enter into it. Do not step into that which will pull you in and drag you down. This is a very important lesson for many on the planet and many light workers and beings who are along the path of ascension now, and that is the blessing of being able to say no. To know when to pull back when it is for your highest good. When to allow yourself the freedom to just be. And I want to bring this idea of being into this space now, because many of you will feel guilty for just being. The mind will tell you that you always have to be working on a certain task. You must be at least reading a book about something, or even just watching TV. The mind will tell you have to be doing something active. And it's very masculine to constantly move forward, always in action. But now, as we bring in the wave of the divine feminine, of those earth-like qualities of the feminine, we are now bringing in that state of being, of that pure joy and bliss of being in the moment, of allowing yourself to just sit without tasks, without thinking of what you're going to do tomorrow or the next minute or the next hour, without analyzing, just breathing and enjoying the feeling of being alive. Great wisdom springs forth from those who allow themselves to be. Feel into that. There is nothing to achieve that is not already within you. There is no need to strive. It is already done. I see many of you berate yourselves. I need to have created this. Why didn't I create that? Why have I not bought this? Why do I not own that? Why haven't I been here? You will be able to answer these questions yourself with full honesty. Was it stagnation? Or is it a mind-made illusion that in order for you to feel full, in order for you to be whole, you had to go out and create a certain thing or owned a certain thing? I now ask you to put that aside. There is nothing you have to do. There's nothing you should be doing. Take that away from your vocabulary. You are a divine being. You are that. Everything is within you. So stop pushing. Allow the unfolding. The more you connect in with yourself, your true essence, the more life will come into alignment for you. It will unfold in magical ways that the mind could not even begin to comprehend. If you wish to create, leave it aside, because that vastness that is creation, that vastness that is you, can only be manifested or created in a very narrow parameter if you try to do it through the mind. And we know that this is scary for humans because we ask you to walk out into new territory. We ask you to move away from the common patterns, the ways of things that have been done a certain way for years and years, lifetimes. We're asking you to break out of that now And for many of you, you will find that things that did work aren't working anymore. And this is because that pattern has been blown wide open, and it cannot function in the heightened energies that are coming to Earth at this point in time. They are too dense. But remember that all comes into alignment with the I am. I exist. I am divine. I am a being who is worthy. I am. I now leave the space open for questions.
Saint Germain, could you give us a better understanding in the significance of numbers and mathematical formulations and equations in the act of creation?
When you really want to come down to the bones of it, numbers and equations are that which have been created by humans and other beings in other realms to make sense of the pattern which is. They are just a symbol at the end of the day, and a symbol which has been used to help the mind grasp where it is. This is now being transcended. Too much time has been given to these equations and numbers and calculations. It's a very masculine way of exploring the foundations of the universe. But dear one, in the creation of the universe, there was no person sitting down to execute these numbers. They are symbols which have been given to what is. They are pointers that can lead you and your human mind to gateways and understandings. But that is all they are. And if you truly wish to come to full grips of how creation is formed, then you must take this mathematical equation, the masculine, and bring in the feminine, which is the divine unfolding. And many mathematicians and scientists will now find that their equations are going to be blown out of the water. Their equations aren't going to fit anymore. And this is as the new energies come through, but also because the equations can only explain a part of how the universe works. It cannot explain the all. And this is something that must be experienced through feeling. This is the divine unfolding. And this is something that can be witnessed in complex systems theory. And in complex systems theory, you begin to see patterns within patterns within patterns. And mathematics would have you believe that if you were to take the same formula that the mind has observed in nature, for instance, and then try to execute it on its own, it will see that it will fail. And this is the feminine qualities coming through of the energy. There are some things, dear one, that you cannot add an equation to. There are some things that will just move in their own way. So we're asking you now, because this question comes from many lifetimes spent more on other realms, on other planets, and time spent calculating and observing the universe and its forces. And this is why much of the time you are given equations and you see different formulations, because this is a way to communicate to you in a way that you understand, even at times you do not feel you do. The information is there, you hold it in your energy. But do not get too caught up in those equations, because you will miss the other picture. So from now on, we ask you to see them as signposts and markers. And now we ask you to dive in to the unfolding. For it cannot always be predicted. Energy moves in mysterious ways that surprise even us on the other side at times. I'm sorry if this has not brought you clarity. Is there anything else you wish to ask surrounding this?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Can I just ask? Is it okay to still sometimes use these as signs or stepping stones, these mathematical ways of working with energy?
Of course. But as things shift, as things move, you'll soon start to find that a lot of these equations, particularly the ones that have been used on the planet in recent years, or even from the time of Pythagoras right through to now, they're not going to be as solid as what humans once thought. Quantum physics is now starting to delve into these areas. And although, yes, you can use these equations, and yes, they do apply in certain areas, do not become attached to them, because even mathematics is a formula and structure which is now going to be blown apart for the human world. There's a whole new energy and a whole new range of ways of seeing how everything works coming to the forefront. So allow this to now come into your awareness and understand that symbols and numbers and letters and words are quite dense, and they do not work for all realms. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. It's quite specific to my own situation. So I've recently started a new job, and everyone's generally nice, but there's just one other staff member that I'm not sure if I'm projecting or if I'm sensing something. So how would you differentiate? Like, how would you know how to differentiate that between whether or not I am actually getting like sensing something about trust issues or something there, or if there might be something around projecting or whatever.
Do understand that when two souls come into a relationship, and I'm not talking just a love relationship, a working relationship, a friend relationship, there is an exchange of energy. So it's not one or the other that is in the I guess you could say, at fault for anything. And in the current situation you are in now, this energy exchange is challenging both of you, as it is touching upon both of your sore points, your points that you carry, your triggers, your I'm going to say your pattern triggers, that which forces you into that programming that makes you act in a certain way. Now, because you are moving beyond that, you now sense that there's something more to this. You now sense that perhaps that there is a part of you that's causing it, or perhaps there is a part of the other person. It is the energy exchange, it is the energy flow. So next time you are in relation to that person, I ask you to step back a little and to really notice what kind of thought processes emerge, particularly when that person pushes on that sore spot that creates that cascade of pattern and programming. And when you can observe yourself in that state, and you will be able to observe that in the other. You will also begin to be able to see when you touch upon their sore spot. And when you do this, not only can you feel compassion for the other for being caught in a pattern, in a programming, which they're not even aware of, you can make peace with your own. You can bring peace to the acknowledgement that yes, you do have a trigger point, and to understand that everyone has theirs, and that not everything always needs to be fixed. Not everything always has to be brought back into alignment. And if you can bring yourself into that state, ironically, it will come into alignment. The biggest thing is to make peace with the situation within yourself, and to be completely present in all interactions, so that when you can feel yourself being triggered, or you can see the other person being triggered, you do not get caught up in the tangle of it. You do not get pulled into it and your energy taken, and vice versa. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. Saint Germain, are our bodies being recalibrated at the moment? And if so, could this be causing tiredness in our bodies more so than is normal?
Yes, that is the short answer. The influx of energy at this point, as it has blown forth this spark of consciousness that has forced many souls to actually evolve beyond the body's capabilities. And many of these souls, including yourself, do a lot of work in their sleep also. So picture a lower vibrating body sitting here, and then a soul who is vibrating up here, trying to come together. And this is very tiring on the body. And so what we have done on the other side, in the other realms, is we are now trying to lift the energy of the physical body to reduce some of that density. And this is happening at an energetic and DNA level. The biggest thing that people will be feeling from this is fatigue, aches and pains, anxiety, and in some cases depression, as the influx of energy of the soul on the body is very hard on the nervous system. It is like sticking a plug into the wrong socket and the wrong voltage going through. So the nervous system is being forced to take on more energy than it is used to. And this in itself also creates tiredness. So in this space, we just ask that you make good choices for the body. If you are tired, rest. We cannot emphasize this enough. For there are many who keep pushing, and then the body becomes diseased. Rest is the key here. And just being gentle with the body. It is very human to have negative thoughts about the body, and this just adds to the density while the body is trying to lift itself back up. So to fill your cells of your biology with love, with gratitude, and to show that through nourishing food, to show that through adequate sleep, and to show that through also exercise. And it doesn't have to be vigorous exercise, it's whatever the body needs in that moment, because that will get the energy flowing, and it also assists in bringing the soul grounded back in. There are many on the planet at this point in time who are feeling very ungrounded and unsettled, and I guess as you humans would put it, you're off with the fairies. And this is because there is such a difference between the energy of the soul and the body. This integration will start to ease in time. 3 months we are giving it at this point for there to be a more smooth integration of both. But right now, your souls are still vibrating higher and higher and higher. That hasn't stopped yet. So the body's just lagging a little bit, but it will come back together until the next round. So this is going to be normal, particularly for this next 100-year period. But it is okay to be tired. And it is interesting too, because this is also something humans have created in a way to make themselves stop, to take a step back, to take a deep breath and observe their life, observe the others in their lives, observe themselves, their actions, their thoughts, their words. And those who can really honor this time of going inward and allowing the body to catch up will also accelerate their awareness, taking off those veils, those masks. The body wants to integrate. It is getting the mind to step out of the way and allow this process to happen, which is incredibly important at this time. So I do stress self-love and love for the body. And let that love enter every cell. Are there any more questions?
experience like with letting go of the mind in your human aspect? What sort of experiences did you have? Did you make it easy for yourself or difficult?
Like every human, I did not make it easy for myself. And it was a process of cycles and unfolding. And it is funny because humans often get caught up in ascension or enlightenment to be this big grand opening, to be this amazing flooding of energy, this grand experience. But the thing that stuck with me was the simplicity that I had been missing all along. And in that moment, I laughed. I laughed at all the lifetimes spent striving for this achievement, all of the worry, all of the anguish, and not just realizing the divine experience it was, and that it was already there. I just wasn't seeing it. It is subtle, but grand. It pulls you into another realm of existence and yet makes you understand this one even more. So, the more you are aware of subtleties, the closer you are getting to that glimpse of what is, which is already sitting there right in front of you. Are there any more questions?
Yes. Do we have to have a body to go through this? Like, for people that have diseases and that they still can go through. Does it matter as such? Does the body have to be?
No. One doesn't need a body in order to go through the enlightenment process. And there are many in the near-earth realms who do not have bodies, who are also still trapped and still carrying out those earthly patterns. And so they themselves have chosen to go through this ascension process without the aid of a body. Many mistaken the idea that once you leave your body you realize all that is. It's not always the case. And there are many souled beings who are without bodies that are going through this process in their own way. And it's not just Earth and it's not just this realm. There are other dimensions and other planets where this is all unfolding. The body is an essential to ascension. You have just come here to experience what it is like to have a body. Are there any more questions? With that, dear ones, I ask you to take heart, to be gentle with yourselves, because you are breaking some very deep and old programming, particularly at this point in time, which has been around since the ancient Egyptian times. This is crumbling now, and this scares many of the old souls because they were the priests and priestesses of the old realm, the ones who carried the wisdom, and they have carried it right through until now. And until now this has worked well for them, but it's not anymore. And these subtleties of this energy, this collection that has been brought forth from that time, echoes out right through to the structures of society as we see it today. The human mind is in damage control in many cases. It is trying to pick up the pieces and form something that looks familiar. We're now asking you to step aside from what is familiar and enter into the unknown, because that is where your canvas lies. If you want more of the same, then by all means keep standing by and picking up the pieces. Although you will find eventually even that will not work anymore. So we say, leave the pieces behind. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And step out into that limitlessness. It is okay to not know what you're doing. It is okay to have no sense of direction or purpose. In fact, this is perfect. Because really purpose is a human mind-formed structure. You can do whatever you like. Allow yourself to be in the full expression of your being. Allow yourself to be in the full expression of the I am. You don't need to carry anything. You don't need tools. You don't need objects. You don't need thoughts or formulas or patterns or books. Leave them in the dust. And you will see what potentials are out there. Break out of that personality that you carry on your back so rigidly and start to explore. Be brave and let your soul sing. I am Saint Germain.